Welcome to the next edition of the Briefings Direct Voice of Innovation video podcast series. I'm Dana Gardner, Principal Analyst at Inter Arbor Solutions, your host and moderator for this timely discussion on effective paths for businesses to attain digital transformation. Even as a vast majority of companies profess to be seeking digital business transformation, few proven standards of broadly accepted methods stand out as the best paths to take. And now, the COVID-19 pandemic has accelerated the need for bold initiatives to make customer engagement and experience optimization an increasingly data-driven and wholly digital affair. Stay with us now as we welcome a panel of HPE PointNext services experts as they detail a multi-step series of moments that guide organizations on their transformations. Here to share the Hewlett-Packard enterprise view on helping businesses effectively innovate for a new era of pervasive digital business are our panelists. We're here with Craig Partridge, Senior Director Worldwide, Digital Advisory and Transformation Practice Lead at HPE PointNext Services. Welcome back, Craig.
Hey, Dana, good to see you again.
Nice to be with you as well. We're also here with Yara Schutz. She's the Global Digital Advisor, one of many there at HPE PointNext Services. Welcome, Yara.
Hello, Dana. Nice to be here.
Thank you for joining us. We're also here with Aviver Talang. He's Global Digital Advisor, also there at PointNext Services. Welcome, Aviver.
Thanks, Dana. Glad to be here.
And we're also here with Christian Reichenbach, Global Digital Advisor at HPE PointNext Services. Welcome, Christian.
Thanks, Dana, for having me.
You bet. And lastly, we're here with Amos Ferrari, Global Digital Advisor also at HPE PointNext Services. Welcome, Amos.
Thank you, Dana. Thank you for inviting me.
All right, let's start out at a high level, if you wouldn't mind. Craig, tell us if 80% plus of CEOs say that digital transformation initiatives are underway, they're actively involved. I wonder how much actual standardization or proven methods are available to them. Is everyone going at this completely differently? Is there some way that we can help people attain a consistent level of success?
I think there's a few things that have emerged, Dana, that are becoming commonly agreed upon, if not commonly executed upon. So let's think about those things that have been commonly agreed upon that we see consistently in most of our customers' digital transformation agendas. I guess the first principle would be no shock here that it's really about focusing on data. It's really about moving towards being a data-driven organization. So getting insights and intelligence and being able to act upon that insight for differentiation and innovation. It really is true to say that data is the currency, isn't it, of the digital economy. So a hyper focus on data, which implies all sorts of things, not least of all, making sure you're trusted to handle that data. So security, cybersecurity, all of those kind of good things come out of that feed. I think the other thing that we're seeing, which is clearly now common in the way that people think about digital transformation, is it's a lot more about being at the edge. It's about showing how we can use technology to create and exchange value as they transact that value from business to business or business to consumer in a variety of different environments, right? And sometimes those environments can be digitized themselves as well. And so we have the whole idea of physical digitization and using technology also to address people and personalities. So that edge-centric thinking, I think, is another common ingredient that's coming out. And then I think the third element, which is becoming increasingly common, is that organizations are understanding that all of this exploration that is underpinning this digital ambition that they have is going to require a lot more agility in the way that technology is brought into the organization and assembled to build these new digital products, digital experiences. And so that's shifting organizations very rapidly into that cloud-enabled future. And that means not just establishing the right baseline in terms of platforms and services that IT run, but also increasingly bringing in that development community as well to make sure that they're coordinated strategically to leverage the cloud in a way that benefits the agility agenda of the organization. So maybe not an exact science in terms of a standardized method that we could all call out and say, oh, it's like a TOGAF or it's a kind of industry standard benchmark, but we are seeing these common themes now iterate and iterate as customers go through this kind of change.
Yeah, it certainly seems that if you want this to scale across your organization, there needs to be some consistency, some structure, and understanding. On the other hand, if everyone does it the same, you don't get the benefit of differentiation and it doesn't cater to individual vertical industries and regions. So how do you see the balance between enough standardization and enough innovation panning out?
Yeah, it's a really good question because actually I think there are components of what I was just mentioning which can be much more standardized in terms of delivering the outcomes that the three pillars of what I've just talked about addresses. If you're looking to the cloud enabled side of what I was just saying, I think increasingly there's ways to become highly standardized and mobilized around that cloud enabled agenda. And actually that doesn't vary much from industry to industry. Dana, the idea of moving towards containerization, for example, or leveraging microservices or developing with an open API mindset, these principles are pervasive in almost every industry. And clearly, IT has to bring its legacy environment to play in that discussion at high speed, high velocity, and high agility. So I think there's some standardization going on that side of it. I think where the variation kicks in is as you start pivoting towards the edge and thinking about how you create differentiated products and services, digital products and services now, how you generate digital revenue streams, how you use digital channels to reach your customers, your citizens, or your partners. That's where you're seeing a high degree of variability. And a lot of that is driven by industry. For example, if you're in manufacturing, you're probably looking at how technology can help you kind of pinpoint pain or constraints in KPIs like OEE and addressing technology across the manufacturing floor. If you're in retail, you might be looking at how digital channels might now accelerate and outpace the kind of four-wall retail experiences that maybe companies have relied on pre-pandemic.
Craig, before we drill down more into the methods, were there any higher level messaging or visuals that you had that you wanted to share to help us appreciate the big picture before we get more particular?
Yeah, let me share a couple of things, a couple of observations from my perspective. I think as a team, we engage with thousands of customer conversations around the world, and what we're drawing here from a McKinsey report is exactly what we're seeing in real life in those conversations. That there are a number of reasons why 7 out of 10 respondents in this particular survey are saying they're stalled somehow in trying to get through that digital execution to derive business value. And those sort of center from our perspective around 4 key areas. First of all, communication. And it sounds such a simple problem statement, but it's so hard to sometimes communicate what is quite a complex agenda in a way that's simple enough for as many people as possible, key stakeholders, to get behind, rally behind, and make real inside an organization. So sometimes just the simplest things of how do I visualize and communicate my digital ambition? If you can't communicate really clearly, then you can't build that guiding coalition behind you to help you execute. Second barrier to progress seems to, from our perspective, to be around orchestration. So having lots of spinning plates at the same time and trying to figure out what's the relationship and the dependencies between all of these initiatives that I'm running, and can I deduplicate and de-risk some of what I'm doing to get there quicker? That tends to be a major barrier. The third one, you mentioned it a little bit in your questions, Dana, which is, am I doing something different? Actually, am I really trying to unlock new business models that's uniquely mine, or at least the value is uniquely identifiable with me, and am I changing or reshaping my business, my market norms? So that differentiation challenge is really hard, too easy to do a me too kind of strategy. And then the fourth barrier I'd say that we figured out is, when you do have an idea or an initiative agenda, is how do I lay out the key building blocks in a sequence that's going to get me there quicker? That's a prioritization question, actually, and customers spinning, kind of paralysis by analysis mode, where they're not quite sure which enablers to establish first in order to make progress and get to that minimum viable product as quickly as possible. So those are kind of 4 things that we would say we see quite commonly. And of course, that means actually to get over those things, you need a clear transformation strategy. So real clarity on what it is you're trying to do, strong alignment across the business with different stakeholders, because as I was saying before, digital transformation affects everything from edge, business model, how you engage with your customers and your clients, all the way through to how the technology is assembled to be able to deliver those experiences. Differentiation, so those customers that aren't stalled are demonstrating that they have a distinctive transformation strategy. That's a kind of key part of their acceleration capability. And then that final piece is that ones that are getting beyond those barriers are good at landing digital capabilities in the right sequence. They have good design and good strong core competencies around how to land technology on the floor. You talked about, right up front, your first question is, are there some emerging models in order to be able to accomplish this. And so we've established in HPE something called Digital Next Advisory, and that's our framework. It's our joint customer engagement framework, where we attempt to sort of diagnose and pivot beyond these barriers that we commonly see in a customer's digital ambition. So I'll just share that as a kind of high level view of where we see things going as well, Dana.
All right, well, we're going to hear more on each of these 4 moments, but I'd like to first find out, 1, why you call them moments, and then 2, why you ordered them the way you did. So before we go in, what's the big picture on how you classified them and why did you put them in the order you did?
Yeah, so we call them moments because I think in our industry, if you start calling things services, then people believe, oh, well, that sounds like just a workshop that I pay for. Doesn't sound very differentiated. We also like the way it expresses the kind of co-ideation, co-engagement. A moment is something that I experience with someone else. So there's 2 sides to that equation as well. And then in terms of how did we sequence them, actually they're not sequenced. And that's a really key thing to understand, Dana. One of the things that we do as a team across the world is to work out where is the constraint point and the barrier, and think of it as a methodology. So, and like any good methodology, there's lots of tools in the toolkit. And really the key for us, for practitioners of Digital Next Advisory, is to know what tool to bring out at the right point in the customer dialogue. And sometimes that's going to mean, well, actually, you have a communication issue. Let's go solve for that particular problem first. Or in some cases, it's, I actually don't have a differentiated idea. Can a technology partner like HPE come and help me create, a vision, a value proposition that's going to be different and unique to me? And so we would kind of engage more specifically around that differentiation agenda. There's no sequencing. The sequencing is bespoke and unique to a customer. And the moments was just to make sure that customers understood that it was bi-directional, that this is a co-engagement framework between the 2 parties.
All right, well, very good. Let's go back to welcoming Yara back to our screen.
First, let me introduce and reiterate again what Craig has mentioned before. When we are engaging together with our customers in the really complex phenomenon about digital transformation, it's important to find kind of a common ground on where we can then kind of move forward in the digital transformation journey of our customers. So as Craig has pointed out, we've got 3 core beliefs, one of which is being edge-centric. And on the edge-centric core belief, we believe that there are 2 journeys, or 2, we would say, business goals and business outcomes that our customers are trying to achieve regarding their digital transformation. So in the top left, we have the human edge-centric journey, which is all about redefining the experiences. So this journey incorporates initiatives then, for example, regarding the experience of 2 personas. On the one hand, it's the customers, but on the other hand, it's also the employees. So here, initiatives target to really increase revenues and productivity with digital engagement. For example, new digital services like mobile apps. And complementary to this human edge journey, we also have the physical edge journey, the physical edge, about gaining insight and control. And in this journey, it's really about dealing with the physical edge. It's about using, for example, IoT technology for environments where the organization either works in, operates in, or provides services. So the business objective here in this journey consists of improving efficiencies by means of digitizing the edge. For example, just making it exemplary through sensor-based monitoring of machines in a production environment. As complementary to the edge-centric side, we also have the core belief of the enterprise of the future being cloud-enabled. And by cloud-enabled, we again distribute or separate the cloud-enabled capabilities into 2 distinct journeys. The bottom right-hand journey about modernizing and move is kind of the core optimization motion that most companies drive, despite being in full midst of digital transformation or in any other transformation, so to say. So in this journey, there are initiatives incorporated that address how IT can modernize its legacy environment, for example, with a multi-cloud agility. And the target includes, for example, the optimization of service delivery costs, where different workloads should be hosted, and of course also the management of this hybrid environment. For example, talking about on-premise and different cloud models. And complementary to this really IT-focused journey, we also have a developer-led motion in the top right-hand side, which is all about accelerating the development. So this journey involves the developer persona at its center. And the aim here is to really speed up time to value with cloud native adoption. For example, calling out microservices or containerization in order to shift the innovation faster over to the edge. Certain platforms or cloud platforms and APIs are then evaluated in this developer-led motion. Now coming to the third core belief that we think an enterprise of the future really should strive for is the data-driven part. And that again divides into the intelligence journey, which is all about analyzing and using the data to create intelligence and to innovate and differentiate from your competitors. And initiatives in this journey, they better target, for example, business analytics or insights to really use machine learning or artificial intelligence on generated or consumed data of the four business outside journeys. And complementary again to this aspect, another really important point that I think Craig has also made before, it's also about bringing trust into all of these digital initiatives. It's directly linked to the intelligence journey because the data that is generated or consumed by the four journeys needs to be dealt with in a connected organization in which resiliency and cybersecurity are playing leading roles, resulting in trust to internal as well as external stakeholders. Then kind of arriving in the center is the operating model. And that journey really builds the center of the framework because skills, metrics, practices, and governance models have to be reshaped since they dictate the outcomes of all digital transformation efforts. So the value chain in the heart of an organization, it needs to evolve in order to really optimize existing offerings and to create new digital ones. And as you've probably already observed by now, the four outside business journeys, they overlap in the middle, which I've just described as the intelligence, operating model, and trust piece. And these three components, they really build the enabling considerations that one must consider when you're pursuing different business goals, as for example, driving new revenues or productivity, or modernizing your existing environment with multi-cloud agility. And to put that all in context and to really kind of get to what many companies are really asking for right now is to put it in the context of everything as a service. And everything as a service does not just belong to, for example, the cloud-enabled side. It doesn't only tell the story about how you're consuming, for example, technologies. It also talks about the edge side of our customers, how they deliver and create and monetize their services to their customers.
Well, thank you very much for that, Yara. Tell us a bit more now about getting an actualization of this. When you go to activate, what are people doing? Please explain a bit more.
Yes, of course, I'm happy to do so, Dana. So one of the really core challenges we've experienced together with customers is that they are having trouble on really framing and communicating their transformation efforts in an easily understandable way across their entire organization. And that's really not an easy task for them. The communication tension points that we've experienced so far tend to be, for example, how can I really describe digital transformation? Is there any definition that really suits my business? And how can I visualize and easily communicate and also articulate it to my entire organization that all of what I'm trying to do with technology actually kind of makes sense in a broader context within my company. So many companies, as you can see here on the slide on the left, they have really just a vague understanding of what does digital transformation mean for them. And within the activate moment, we then familiarize them with the digital journey map that I've just introduced before to really capture their digital ambition and communicate a clear transformation and execution strategy. The digital journey map as itself, just as a little reminder or background information, is used as a model in the conversations first hand to really prove that you can abstract a complex phenomenon, just like digital transformation, into something visual and simply to communicate. And besides simplification, the digital journey map in the activate moment also helps to describe an overview or give a structure of various influencing categories and variables and their relationship with each other in the context of digital transformation. It also gives our customers some guidance on certain considerations and of course also various possibilities of the application of technology in their business. So for example, pointing out the edge, as I've shown on the digital journey map before, when we're bringing the digital journey map into the customer conversation in our activate moment, we don't just talk about the edge generally, but we of course refer not just to the industry, but to the specific customer needs and what their edge might be. So for example, talking in the financial industry, we talk about branches as their edges, or talking about manufacturing, we're talking about production lines as their edges. Or for example, with public customers, we talk about venues, for example, also especially in times of this new normal, how can they really redefine the experience at the spots, at their edges, and really drive value there for their customers. Of course, this also serves as inspiration for internal stakeholders, because they might see, okay, if I link this initiative, or if I'm talking about this topic, for example, in the intelligence space, for example, about the digitization of research and development. What does that mean in the context, and what else do I need to consider? And how can I tie all of this together into a holistic and effective digital transformation strategy? And regarding that, touching on, for example, who is engaged in the activate moment on the customer side, we are addressing different various personas at the customers, because they all have different digital ambitions and different digital aspirations that they want to prosper and bring into the conversation.
Thanks again for that, Yara. What about the personas and the people? We always have to look at the culture and the individuals as part of the equation. How does that fit into the activate moment?
Of course, that fits in pretty well, because we are addressing various personas with our activate moment. For example, the chief digital officer, because for her, the impact of the digital initiatives on the digital backbone are really key. So she might ask questions, okay, what data will be captured and processed, and which insights will we drive, and how do we really make these initiatives trusted?
We're going to move on now to the next moment on Align and orchestrating initiatives with Aviver Talang. Aviver, tell us a bit about the orchestrating initiatives and alignment moment, please.
Thanks, Dana. Glad to be here. So the Align moment is really designed to help organizations orchestrate their broad catalog of digital transformation initiatives, right? Really the core initiatives that are driving that digital agenda. And over the last few years, as we've engaged with customers in various industries, we found that one of the most common challenges they encounter in this transformation journey is a lack of coordination and alignment between their most critical digital initiatives. And frankly, that slows their time to market. It reduces the value they realize from their transformation efforts. And especially now, actually, right, with the new normal that we find ourselves in, organizations are rapidly scaling up and broadening out their digital agenda. And so as these organizations rapidly pivot to launching new digital experience business models, they need to rapidly coordinate their transformation agenda against an ever increasing set of stakeholders who sometimes we found have competing priorities, whether it's the various technology teams that's sitting in IT or in the digital office, or maybe it's the business units that are responsible for delivering these new experience models to the marketplace, right? Or even the internal functions that support the internal operations and supply chain of the organization. We found that these groups are not always well aligned to the digital agenda, not really operating as that well-oiled machine in their pursuit of that singular digital ambition. And in this new normal, speed is critical, and organizations have to get aligned, become efficient, and really execute all of that digital agenda really, really quickly. So that's where the Align moment actually comes in, right? The Align moment is really designed to generate deep insights that help organizations evaluate their catalog of digital initiatives across organizational silos, right? And really help to identify that execution strategy that will speed up their time to market. So what does that actually look like? Well, what we are doing during these align moments is bringing together a diverse set of stakeholders that own or contribute to the digital agenda. Now, like I said, some of these stakeholders may sit in the business unit, some may sit in internal functions, or maybe even in the digital office. But we kind of bring them together to jointly capture and evaluate the most critical initiatives that drive the core of the digital agenda. The objective really is to jointly blend our own expertise and experience with that of our customers, right? To jointly investigate and uncover the prerequisites and interdependencies that so often exist between these complex sets of enterprise scale digital initiatives. And so during the align moment, you might hear a BizOps group realize that they need to quickly recalibrate their business processes in order to meet the data security requirements that are coming in from the business unit or the digital team. Or as one of our customers found out during their own align moment, that before they got too far down the path of developing their next generation of digital product, they needed to first build in data transparency and accessibility as a core design principle in their global data hub. And so the methodology in the align moment really starts to significantly reduce that execution risk as these organizations embark on these multi-year transformation agendas. And quite frankly, these agendas are constantly evolving, right? Because the speed of the market is just so fast today. Our goal here is really to drive a faster time to value for the entire digital agenda by coordinating digital execution strategy across the organization. That's what the align moment really helps our customers with. Maybe I could kind of talk a little bit about the value that the align moment has brought to some of the different stakeholders that we've engaged in the past. The align moment has really brought tremendous amount of value to the CDO from experience, right? The CDO now has the ability to quickly make sense and even in some cases coordinate the complex web of digital initiatives that are running across the organization, right? Again, regardless of which silos they may be owned within. And then really identify that path to execution that speeds up the realization of the entire digital agenda. So think of it almost like as giving this CDO as a dashboard where they can now see their entire transformation on a singular visual framework. We've also found that the align moment delivers a lot of value for digital initiative owners because we jointly work across silos to de-risk, as I mentioned, the execution paths to really implement that initiative, whether it's a technology risk or it's a process risk or a governance risk, really helps to highlight the dependencies between these competing initiatives and competing priorities, and then sequence these work streams and efforts to minimize the risks of delays or mismatched deliverables or mismatched outputs that are happening between teams. And then there's a CIO. Really, this is a great tool for the CIO to take IT to the next level, to really elevate the impact of IT into the business and the various functions in the organization by really establishing agile cross-functional work streams, right, that can speed up the execution of these digital initiatives. So that's in a nutshell what the align moment is really about. It's really about helping our customers rapidly generate these deep insights to help them orchestrate their digital agenda across silos. We're really breaking down silos with the goal to speed up that execution of their agenda.
Thank you very much, Viver. We're now moving on to our next moment, and that is around advance, stimulating differentiation, among other things. We now welcome back Christian Reichenbach. Christian, tell us about the advance moment, please.
So the common ground where we are starting this train of thought here is that digital transformation is not only there to optimize business by using technology. What we really want to emphasize is that technology is used to transform businesses leveraging digital technology. So that means that we are using technology to differentiate value propositions of our customers. And differentiation means, for instance, new experiences for the customers of our customers, or new interactions with digital technology. Further, it's about establishing new digital business model and gaining new revenue streams from that, and also expanding the ecosystem in a much broader sense. So all about is it that we want to leverage technology to differentiate the value propositions of our customers. And differentiation means you can't do what every other one is doing. So just copycatting and looking to your peers and replicating what others are doing will not differentiate the value proposition. So therefore, we specifically designed the advanced moment, where we co-innovate and co-ideate together with our customers to find their next big thing, to establish what I just said, and driving technology to a much more differentiated value proposition.
Christian, that sounds great. Tell us a bit more about the discrete steps that take part that people need to do in order to get through that stimulating of differentiation.
Well, as I said, it's all about differentiation, right? And differentiation comes from having new ideas and doing something different than in the past. And that's why we designed the advanced moment that helps our customers to differentiate a unique value proposition. So what is the advanced moment? Actually, it's a design thinking exercise we are doing together with our customers in a diverse team, meaning product owners, technology designers, engineers, chief digital officer. So a diverse team that are thinking about a specific problem they want to solve. But they don't think it in isolation. They think about it, what can they do different in the future to establish new revenue streams and maybe a digital ecosystem, so that they help to generate these digital business models we see all over the place in the annual reports from our customers. So everyone is on the race to find the next big thing. And we want to help them because we have the technology capabilities and experience to explain and discuss with our customers what is possible today with leading edge technology like from HPE. And we can prove that we've done that. So for instance, we sit down together with Continental, the second largest automotive parts supplier in the world, and ideated about how can we redefine the experience of a driver who's driving along the road. And we came up with a data exchange platform that helps our car manufacturers to exchange data between each other, so that the driver who's sitting in a car is getting new infotainment services that are not possible without a data exchange platform. So you see, our ideation, our advanced moment is focused on redefining the experience and stimulating new ideas that are groundbreaking and that are not just copycatting what the peers are doing. And that, of course, will differentiate the value propositions from our customers in a unique way so that they can create these new experiences and ultimately the new revenue streams. So we are addressing particular personas within our customers' organization. Because today we see that the product owners in a company are powerful and always asking themselves, how can I bring my product to the next level? Or how can I differentiate my product that is not easy comparable with my peers? And of course, the chief digital officers in the customer's organization, they are looking to orchestrate these initiatives and also support the product owners, the product engineers, and the innovation engine with the right initiatives and with the right ideas. And of course, we're talking about digital business transformation. We're ending up in the IT department because somewhere has it to be operate, somewhere needs it to be operate and place. So bringing in the experts from the IT department, as well as the chief information officer, to turn that idea quickly into realization. And for that, for turning that idea quickly into something that is meaningful for our customers, we actually designed another moment, which is accelerate.
Thank you so much for that. We will move on next to the moment with Amos Ferreri. We welcome him back. Tell us, Amos, a bit more about Accelerate as a key moment in moving towards a larger digital transformation value.
So when it comes to realize the digital transformation, let me ask you a question then. Okay, let me go ask you back. What do you think is the key problem that our customer has?
Probably finding ways to get started and then find realization of value and benefits that they can prove their initiative is worthwhile.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, is a problem of a prioritization of investment. They know that they needed to invest. They know that they needed to do something there, and they are stuck in, should I invest here? Where should I invest first? Or should I invest in a big infrastructure first of all to realize the thing? But then, is this slowing down my realization? Because time to market and speed is the key things today. We all know that this is what is driving the behavior of the people and the transformation. Okay, so by saying that is really a key things. A key things is coming. Welcome to the accelerate. The accelerate is exactly this moment. Is the moment where very short engagement with the customer, that is basically 1 day workshop with them, we enable them to really come extrapolate from their digital ambition the key element that will enable them to move into realization of the digital transformation. Where should I start? That is the main question that the accelerate moment is answering. And what is my journey path, my path to value? Okay, that are the key things. As you can see, this is part of the entire Digital Next Advisory and is enabling the customer to move quickly to the realization of the benefit. In this engagement, you start with the decision that is really starting from say what are the use cases that I'm taking, what are the technology. There are a number of key elements, a number of key decisions that the customer are really taking, and this is where we helping them with this accelerate moment. If we look at the steps that we use to deliver the accelerate moment, we are using a number of steps that really help them going through this. How we do it? First of all, we frame the initiative by starting by really having a good discussion with them about the KPI, how you're going to measure, what are the benefits, because the business is what is driving. We know that. And we really understand how is the technology linked to the business in this case. So framing the initiative, really understanding the use cases and scoping the use case that is really addressing the key KPI that are the burning platform for the customer at that moment is really a key steps, okay, into the moment. The other things that is really key is important is to understand is that into a digital transformation, a customer is not alone. No customer is really alone into that. Is not really successful if they don't think holistically about their ecosystem, the digital ecosystem. A customer is really successful when they think about the complete ecosystem that is including not only the key internal stakeholder, but also the other stakeholders that are surrounding him, that can enable him building the new digital value, that they can enable the customer creating differentiation, that will enable the customer also to perform and make sure that they attain to standards, to security, and all the things that they needed to look at. The next one is really understanding the depth of technology. And that is when we are using our digital journey map. The digital journey map is really helping us because a lot of customers start from just one angle. Okay, so they just start only from the IT point of view, only from the developer point of view, or only from the end user point of view, or maybe they just start from the IoT point of view. The reality is that the IT now is becoming, they wanted to be a value creator for the customers. They want to be the value creator, and they needed to consider the entire technology of the entire company. So they needed to consider edge to cloud and data as a full picture. So this is where we have with them the discussion about how can you see the full technology taking value, bringing value to your digital transformation. And that is the other element. The last element that we then consider is that if these are the elements that are surrounding your digital transformation, what are the key building blocks that will enable you to execute immediately? That and identify the building blocks is really key, because by just executing on those building blocks, customers are really able to create what we call it, what is the minimum valuable product. So they can really build up a minimum valuable product that is the way for them to surround the execution to something that they can realize immediately. Okay, without thinking about, oh, maybe I needed to have 2 or 3 years before I do realize that I needed to change that part, I needed to change the other. How can I do that in a very short time by creating something that is simple and straightforward to create by putting the key building block in place? How this is link everything? How can we link then everything together? We link everything together with stories, and the stories is really what help our key stakeholders to realize what they needed to create. So stories around, if you have a stories about the different stakeholders, how the different stakeholders will see themselves in the future when the digital transformation will happen. This is the way that we show them how this is going to be realized. Okay, so the end result is that we will deliver a number of stories that will using the key building blocks. We create a narrative to enable them to see how the technology, applying technology, will enable them to create value for the company and achieve the key KPI. This is the accelerate moment.
Thank you very much for that, Amos. Really puts a cap on the 4 major moments. Let's go back to Craig. Craig, if you would, tell us about, as we've been discussing differentiation for your customers, what differentiates Point Next Services, and how are you positioning yourself to be the best option for organizations to go through these moments to attain their digital transformation?
Yeah, thanks, Dana. Differentiation is really key for us as well as for our customers in a complex and congested landscape of partners that customers can choose. Some of the differentiation I think we've touched here. There is nobody else in the market, as far as I'm aware, that has the edge to cloud digital journey map, which is our fundamental model that allows us then to quite holistically paint the story of not only a digital transformation, digital ambition, but also be able to do that at the initiative level and be able to plug in those building blocks. So I'm not seeing anybody with the maturity of that edge to cloud model that can bring that digital ambition to life, visualize it through the activate moment, orchestrate it through the align moment, create differentiation through the advanced moment, and then get to quicker MVP with the accelerate moment.
Craig, for those organizations that are interested in learning more, how do they get started? Where can they go for resources, or what's a typical way in which they begin this journey into a digital transformation that's structured with methodologies and yet with the ability to innovate and be differentiated?
Yeah, thank you, Dana. So if any customer, anybody listening to this or viewing this has seen something in there that they want to grab onto, that they think can accelerate their own digital ambition, then simply pick the phone up to HPE, call your sales rep. We have sales organizations from dedicated enterprise account managers looking after some of our biggest customers around the world, through to small and medium-sized businesses with our inside sales organization. Pick up the phone to your HPE sales rep and say the magic words. Say, I want to engage a digital advisor, and I'm interested in looking specifically at digital next advisory. And that should be the flag that triggers a conversation with one of our digital advisors around the world. Finally, there's an email address, digitaladvisor@hpe.com. If worst comes to worst, throw an email into that email, and then we'll be able to pick that straight up and get straight back to you. So you should make it as easy as possible. Just reach out to your HPE counterparts.
Well, very good. I'm afraid we'll have to leave it there. We've been examining how to transform organizations to effectively innovate for a new era of pervasive digital business. And we've learned how HPE Point Next Services advises organizations across a multi-step series of moments that guide organizations on and through their transformations. I want to thank our guests. We've been here with Craig Partridge, Senior Director Worldwide Digital Advisory and Transformation Practice Lead at HPE Point Next Services. And we've also been here with just a handful of the many HPE Point Next Services Global Digital Advisors. Thank you goes out to Yara Schultz, Aviv Talang, Christian Reichenbach, and Amos Ferreri. Thank you all very much. And a big thank you as well to our audience for joining the sponsored Briefings Direct Voice of Innovation discussion. I'm Dana Gardner, Principal Analyst at Inter Arbor Solutions, your host for this ongoing series of HPE-supported discussions. Thanks again for listening and viewing, and please pass this along to your IT community and be sure and come back next time.